all these other. Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to the Blues versus the Crusaders, and boy, it was a close one. I think everyone picked the Crusaders, and the Crusaders did actually come out with a win, but it was only 20-24, and it does appear that we have at least three sides now in the New Zealand Conference who can't kick for toffee. Well, kicking at sticks anyway. So hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby predictions and opinion, and joining me this evening to go through the game is the man from Cornflakes Crib. How are you doing, sir? Steve?
I'm very good. I couldn't have dreamt of a better start to my rugby season. 3-0, bonus points as well. I'm loving life at the moment. Bring it on. More games.
So that's because Stephen's talking about the Super Brew prediction competitions, and yes, he has so far managed to go 3-0. And the reason that this is such a big topic really is that basically in the table last season I came second, and Stephen was bottom half of the table somewhere, basically digging up in the mines way below. So unfortunately I had some technical issues, so I missed the first sort of 10-15 minutes of the game. So Stephen, give us a quick chat as to what happened from the kickoff.
Well, it was Blues who got the best start of the match, as to be said. The things I've noted down the most, especially from the Crusaders' perspective of things, structure, defence. They were huge to the start of the match-up. The Blues had some pretty decent chances early on to give themselves a good start, making some decent territorial gains, getting some decent set-piece ball and opportunities. But I just, straight away, you notice in the game, and it goes throughout the whole thing too, I noticed that the structure of the Crusaders' defence was really hard to break down. I think the Blues took a while to really adapt to that. They got a penalty early on after the 10-minute mark, but that was not as much reward as they probably should have got from that start. And when you look at what this Crusaders team can do, the big break from Eno, who was brilliant throughout the game, that try-saving tackle from Milani Nanai on bridge could have completely washed out a good start that the Blues had, but it just goes to show what the Crusaders can do. As we've seen throughout this matchup, the Blues toiled hard, and they toiled hard early, advantaged themselves nicely, but didn't get the reward that they probably deserved.
But they did get, they did take the lead for to the right one. Hello, and sorry about the technical issues, but we are back again. The Blues also got 3-0 up, and then and really weren't able to push home their advantage in that time. And then we had a pretty interesting try from a scrum from the Crusaders. Not the kind of try not what you'd normally expect from a scrum. Ball comes out, the 8 gives it to the 9. The 9 crossfield kick. Collins should have dealt with it because it was a pretty poor kick. Let's be honest. He fumbles it over the back line, which we've seen so many times in the last week. Well, at least in the Six Nations. And Mattielli follows up and puts it down for a lucky try for him, really, because that was a poor kick.
A lucky try, but I mean, how much didn't he follow what was going on there? I mean, Mattielli was a lot wider than him. It didn't seem like they really picked up the width of that play, and Moanga was quickly onto it. As he is, he's a lightning fast sort of player at picking up that sort of thing, a clever player, tactical player, and he gets that very easy. But what I found interesting was the possession
that wasn't
stats.
Mine, was it? It was the scrum half. So Drummond in that first half put that across.
Got through. It was 2 out. Of course, it was off the 8, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
But what I found interesting was that the Crusaders only had 30% of the ball at that point. And it goes on what we were saying earlier about 70% to the Blues, and they only come away with 3. Bang, try back down the other end, and how much of wasted opportunity is that for the Blues, and they're behind 5-3.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we'll talk about when we get to the second half, is that the Crusaders could strike, whereas the Blues had to build basically to get their scores. And looking at the territory and possession, 60% possession, 58% territory 59% territory to the Blues in this game. But they had to go through phases. They had to have multiple tries. They weren't quite as clinical at striking. Talked earlier about this, the kicking, but then we had the Blues went for a penalty and missed. Then we saw a long restart from there by the Crusaders. And the Crusaders thought, look, we've got a penalty in their half. We'll have a go at penalty and show them that and make this a 6-point turnaround. But no, they missed as well. In fact, amazingly enough, the Crusaders were not successful with any kicks during this game. That's just crazy.
That's true.
They did, yeah, no, because 24 points, so 2 tries and 2 penalty tries. The penalty tries, you get the automatic conversion already. There's 7 points. The Crusaders weren't successful with one single kick at posts all game, which is an amazing stat for really. I don't think we'll see that again this season. The Blues then, stats clicks about 20 odd minutes. We had a few knock-ons. They didn't gather the ball from kicks very well. And the Blues, a few errors in that sort of in that second quarter of the game, and we saw them give up a penalty try, collapsing them all. Pretty much, I mean the ref had no real option. It was quite a clear penalty try, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, they were completely destroyed in that DrivingMaul. Just absolutely smashed the Blues. They had no real idea what was going on. They couldn't even get into a position to even hit it, let alone try and slow it down, let alone stop it. It was breaking faster than they realised where the ball even was. They were just completely bamboozled. I'm not a fan, talking about the yellow card, I'm not a fan of the penalty try and the yellow card going hand in hand together, but it's sort of becoming the norm these days. But it's like a double punch, isn't it? Yep, you give away the try. Is it worthy of getting both as a punishment? But that's the way the game goes. But I mean, from Robinson's point of view, I think that changed him massively.
Absolutely, he went off. And the Blues, to be fair to them, they didn't concede any points during the yellow card. Obviously, they conceded the penalty try when the yellow card was given, but they didn't actually concede any points during that yellow card, or any more points up to half time. To be fair to them, and as you say, Robinson went off and sat on the naughty chair for a while, and then came back and in the second half had an absolute blinder. But before we just get to that, there was some interesting decision making by the Blues. The time's up, and they've got a penalty within goal range, and they decide to turn down the 3 and go for the corner. And then Akira Ioane gets held up over the line, and then that's it. It's half time.
Well, I mean, they probably look back at that and say, is that a decisive part of the game? Is that where we could have turned the result come the end of the 80 minutes? But you got to take your chances, I guess. Do you give the Blues a bit of credit for chancing their arm? I think I agree with you. I think it's too late. If they had a couple of minutes of time remaining, yeah, definitely that's the goer. But they really had a one chance at it, and that was it. And you got to say, as much as the Blues really did explode into that little passage there, the Crusaders' scrambling defence, as it always is, just phenomenal. And
so that meant it was 3-12 at half time. So yes, quite a comfortable kind of lead. And then we went into that second half, as you said. Robinson had a cracker. Akira Ioane goes over when turnover, counter-attack, down the right. Personally, I thought the last ball was possibly forwards, but they got away with it, and Akiri goes over the posts and decides to do a bit of showboating to the crowd as well, which was all very nice after he scored. I mean, hey, let's make some noise.
That was a fantastic try, wasn't it? I mean, the offloading in that and the build-up to that was amazing. It reminded me of the Bulls last year in their opener. Big guys, tall guys, powerful guys, staying alive, not letting the ball die, and just having numbers and support. And that shocked the Crusaders.
It did. And then something that interested me was that then on 43 minutes, I mean, we're just after half time. They've gone and got that they've got themselves back into the game, 2 points behind. They get the opportunity to go for 3, but they turn it down, go for the corner, and lose the line out. And you're like, if you went for 3, you get yourself 1 point in the head. You're in the lead. So I think going for the corner again was the wrong option there. Their line out really was not wasn't really functioning tonight. And they lost. Well, it says they lost. They won 6 out of 8 lineouts, but they didn't feel confident in their lineouts to me during this game.
I can understand why they did it, because momentum was huge. I mean, to smash that try out like they did straight off half time, and then from that kickoff, I think it was Robinson again who took it down, turned, went through a couple of half defenders, kept the ball alive, broke through, getting offloads away. They were just hot. They were on fire. I mean, you got to. That's a chance or a time where you got to chance them a bit more. I think that, yes, the line out is always a bit shaky for the Blues, but I mean they were absolutely smoking at that stage. So you've got to give it credit.
But for me, you go in 3-12 down, and if after 3 minutes of the second half you're 13-12 up, you're back. You're in the lead. Psychologically, the opposition are in sort of trouble. I found it an interesting 46 minutes. Moody goes off, as do the 2 Blues props. Franks goes off in 48 minutes. We had a lot of early changes, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a lot of early changes, but I think it's been quite a bit of a common trend throughout the weekend, really. Bringing back All Blacks, guys that haven't played much pre-season, key guys that we haven't seen much of, but what a difference that made, didn't it? Big old Carl Tuilafiaki. As you see, the changes, the Crusaders, that exploded again for the Blues. They look like a different side with that set piece working.
And the Blues did, as you say, the Blues scrum got the upper hand at that point, and Alex has said it, the Blues forwards looked good at times, getting the better of the Crusaders forwards. They did get an advantage at that point, and it looked like it swung that way. We also then saw in 49 minutes, we saw Plummer and Sonnyville Williams come on. So it's not looking good for a Terry Black, who to get the crook get hooked off that early for an absolute rookie in what is a key game. So clearly they weren't particularly comfortable with what Black was up to. But multiple scrums, the Crusaders under a warning for multiple ruck penalties and then for multiple scrum penalties, and eventually they managed to bulldoze over under the posts, and it's 17-12. We have another break then. Again, Plummer gets it, manages to sidestep himself and fall over, which I thought was pretty impressive. You know? Oh, so you're not. It's not going to get me there. And immediately after that, basically the Crusaders got their first bit of ball in that second half, and within about 2 seconds, Masielli goes over in the corner for his second try of the game, and it's all tied up at 17-all.
Yeah, I mean, that 2 pieces of play is so contrasting. How long did the Blues sit down there for that try? Scrum after scrum after scrum after scrum. Warning after every little piece of pressure they can finally put on, and they just managed to do it, and then bang, the Crusaders just go, okay, my turn. And it's snap, crackle, and pop, and they're over for a try in the corner. How quick do they just change the game? And, I mean, one guy that was massively impressive was Enor. He was just amazing throughout that game. Not just attackingly, but defensively as well. He was superb. But I just couldn't get over that point. After all that pressure they've been under, all that time that they've been stuck down in their own goal line, and then they just turn around. Just bang, back the other way. That's Crusaders rugby like that. Just to snap back and put the pressure back on the other team straight away. Yep,
and I had a text message from a friend who's in the Coromandel season. He was out of context. Like, Paul, what structures are we seeing a structured team from the Blues this year? Because that'd be a big step forward. And you kind of like, well, yeah, they only managed to put about 2 or 3 phases together before there's a penalty, or they knocked on or turned over the ball. So no. And in this game, we had 11 penalties conceded by the Blues and 12 by the Crusaders. That's criminal at this kind of level, really. That they should be doing much better than that, or much less penalties than that. This was quite a whistle happy game.
You've talked about it a little bit. You mentioned there was phases. I think the Crusaders probably, for most of that match, probably till maybe at the end, where the Blues started to get a bit of continuity, putting a few phases together consecutively. But you notice time after time the Crusaders were putting 6, 8, 10 phases together in their build-up to play. It's something the Blues didn't manage to do throughout most of that opening hour, you'd probably say, pretty comfortably of that game. And that composure, I think the Blues probably were playing a bit more of individuals than the Crusaders just seem to always play like a team. And that makes a real big difference, when it comes over an 80-minute period, when you can just narrow down guys to the Blues that I thought played really well, and you look at the Crusaders and say, as a team, as a unit, just do the good things, or the basic things well.
Yep. Then the Crusaders got themselves a scrum penalty try. Again, moving forward, I don't think too many arguments there. The only sort of big question mark was, wow, there wasn't a yellow card with this one. Whereas, as you say, standard operating procedure at the moment seems to be penalty tries come with a yellow card, but we didn't get one this one. I don't know if he couldn't figure out which of the Blues had destroyed the scrum and basically given up, or if he just thought that it wasn't deserving, it wasn't sort of deliberate in the same way that the maul was deliberately taken down.
What I want to know from that passage, though, is where'd that scrum go from 15 minutes earlier? The Blues scrum looked amazing. They had those changes, and they were charging forward. They were dominating the scrum, and it just goes. It just you go from dominating, moving forward, 5 meters at a scrum, to going backwards 5 meters. How did that fall apart so quickly? Baffles me.
It could have been that we lost. Who was the guy that got a broken arm, or it looked like his arm might have been broken.
Perry went off.
Perry went off.
Yeah.
And Moody came back on, and that could have been the difference. But it's for one person to make that much difference is, well, I guess that's why he's a 50, 60 odd capped All Black.
You look at it though, and a lot of the praise went to Tuinafiaki and Tuangafasi, didn't it, for when they come on to change their Blues scrum. Maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe it was the other way around, or what the Crusaders lost. Maybe.
But anyway, so they lost. Soon after that, the Crusaders lost Fennell, for yellow card. Basically, one too many penalties in their own 22 at ruck time. Off he went. It was a team yellow. And again, this time though, the Blues, the Blues then butchered a really good opportunity. I think it was Scott Barrett got up and either sole line or something happened there where basically they had several phases again but couldn't score. But they did come back down again. This time, surprisingly, the line-out wasn't contested by the Crusaders. I guess they were a man down. That might have been part of it. But Pulu managed to jump over and score the try.
Yeah, the Blues did what the Blues have done pretty well all night, is kept the ball tight when they're close to the line, let the forwards do the work. I mean, they got them big boys in there, don't they? So let them do the work. I think they were most impressive for the Blues was when the hard work got going. You had the guys, the Tui Pelotus, the Kirioanis, those sort of guys did some hard work when it come with the short carries off the rucks.
I'm not sure what's going on between Moody and Kirioani, because Moody was quite happy to give him a bit of a rucking before that.
Yes.
And Kirioani was getting himself involved with some of the Crusaders scrum. So yeah, there was definitely a bit of an edge around this one. Come the second half, I don't think the Crusaders appreciated being challenged.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, topic was on Twitter. The Blues made the Crusaders get out of first gear, and they had to go into second gear. I think they got a bit of a fright the way that they stormed out of half time, and definitely changed the game. And you made them play, made them turn up.
Then Plummer missed the conversion, and then he also got himself a penalty, which I thought was a little bit surprising on 77 minutes, because I thought that should have been called a maul. But yeah, it seemed to be a maul, got taken down, and then Todd got pinged for not rolling away. And it was kind of like, okay, interesting one. But Plummer missed that kick as well. And looking at this, I think we probably had had basically two kicks that were successful all night. The early penalty, and then Plummer got one of the conversions over as well. So that is a shocking one. Last night we had the Chiefs couldn't hit the side of a barn either. So that's three. We have got three sides now in the New Zealand Conference who can't kick sticks. Now the Chiefs have got an excuse because they've got they're on like their fourth choice pivot, whereas already, I mean, week one and they've lost their first, second, and third choice fly halves. So yeah, that's not very good. Whereas the Blues and the Crusaders don't have that same excuse. They had their first choice fly halves and kickers out there, and it was just poor, basically.
I mean, yeah, how long until we're going to see Plummer back again? That must absolutely smash his confidence. Wasn't it 2 chances to win that game, potentially?
But as his general play, I thought it was fine. Okay, I say he sidestepped himself onto the floor, which was a bit poor. But other than that, I thought he kept coped with the step up fine. But yeah, as you say, his kicking's just not up to it. But then again, Terry Blacks wasn't earlier, so yeah. What do you do? We'll have to see which way that all pans out. Some stats.
Yeah, Carlos Spencer back.
Well, he's with the Hurricanes. He'll be dressing up in yellow. So you could possibly say that the difference in this was that 48% tackles by the Crusaders, 89% tackled by the Crusaders, only 84 by the Blues. Alex Lovell says Mwanga will be back to kicking next week. Yeah, to be fair to Mwanga, both his kicks conversions were right by the touchline, and they were scored out wide. Quite a few turnovers in this one as well. 13 turnovers by the Blues, 11 by the Crusaders, and quite an interesting stat: 14 offloads by the Blues, 1 by the Crusaders. A bit of a contrast of styles there.
Yeah, I mean that's how the Blues, especially their big fellas in the forward pack, dominated. Robinson, amazing. He was great, and he really led that offloading sort of style of play from the front. But I mean, didn't see any from Sonny Bill, did we?
No. So Johnny Brightus. So I don't watch this very often. How does the ref give the Crusaders the second penalty try while not giving a penalty try to the Blues when the Crusaders gave away a whole load of penalties? Basically, the big difference is when the Crusaders were giving away those penalties, they weren't going backwards at a rate of knots, whereas the Blues were. So yes, there were penalties, but it wasn't like you could say there was a probable try about to be scored, whereas the other way around there was. Another one by Andre as well. Question: has crooked line out and scrum throws gone out the window this year? Well, scrum ones have gone out the window for the past decade, and line outs, unless it hits the outside shoulder. So if it goes over the head of your player, you generally get away with it. But if it goes over the outside shoulder, you're in trouble. So yeah, again, they've decided that fair contest isn't required at the line out.
They had that one year where they cracked down on it for about half a season in the put into the scrums. But what I found more, I don't know if you call it interesting, but it was that intentional knock on from the intercept from Mataili that was really scrutinised late on in that second half. Whereas that was probably the third or fourth one around the whole match, and none of them actually even got picked up, which were way more blatant than that one possibly was. So, I mean, that was really cracked down on last season. From memory, yellow cards being dished out, hairy-fairy for everyone, and now not so much. So there was a lot of debate on that one too.
To me, yeah, if that ball had been half a hand lower, he'd have caught that and taken it. So to me, I was comfortable with that there. Right, the Waratahs and the Hurricanes have kicked off, so we should wrap up now. On the whole, an improved Blues, but they need to be more clinical. The Crusaders, with half the number of runs, half the meters run, scored one more try, which shows you how clinical the Crusaders are. Whereas the Blues, just aren't clinical. That pretty much sum it up.
Hey, I wrote down 2 key words for this match for me: composure and structure. Crusaders, they've just got that, and they just know the game plan. They don't get too frazzled with anything, and that's composure. And their structures, they trusted, and it seems to get them results.
It does. Just I just couldn't believe the stat. Akira Iwani had 20 carries in this game, which shows you how key he is. Michael Collins also had 15, which means you can also say you're not going to get kicked back to if you kick deep to the Blues. So that's an interesting one there for teams who are coming up against them. Defensively, Moody got through 16 tackles and Scott Barrett 17, Todd 19. So they got, whereas looking at the Blues, nobody got into double figures. So a lot more work by the Crusaders on defence, and that's what you're talking about. That structure there, this could be broken down. And Brett Enor, which is someone we should also give a shout out to, because he's only in here because Goodhue is not fit. But Brett Enor showed some serious wheels in Mitre 10 and is looks like a future star in the making. So Steve, quick, where can don't forget to check out Steve's channel, Cornflakes on YouTube, or Cornflakes Crib on Twitter, to have a chat with him. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all of those wonderful things. Become a Patreon, patreon.com/DrivingMaul to get one of these hats. And loving you all. Lots of more Super Rugby stuff. Steve and I will be back on Monday night to give you a review of all the action from this weekend.